Hey guys, it's the Abstractionist. So I'm here with North Node in Pisces from Astrology for the Soul. So yes, I made mention of this like a week or two ago that I finished the North Node in Pisces section, and so I would do like a short little video about it. Yeah, so reading this section, it keeps on with the same thing that I think about this book, that I feel like it could be said in less pages. I feel like the same theme is brought up like 20 different times in 20 different ways, but like the core threads, there's like 5 core ideals essentially. You know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of how I feel about this writing in general. So it's not just like this chapter, it's like every time I read this book, it just seems like it's expounding upon like the basic principles, but it's just like it's the same kind of principles but different examples. It, you know, not to say that it's bad. Like, so the overview is kind of basically like what we're gonna talk about, and so you know, like if you know those, then like you know the core ideals, and so we're just going, I guess, into detail about it. So it's kind of like, you know, like does it need to take 20 plus pages? It was like 27 pages, something like that, for this chapter. It was like a bit, and I had like struggled to get through this, but then again, I just been struggling to get through like reading in general these days. And so yeah, so this, some of the notes that I took was the main one for this section was losing control and being out of control, which is kind of funny because Pisces is Pisces is kind of seen as a mildly chaotic sign, like not like to the level of like how we see Gemini, but because it's mutable, it seems like, I guess it gets translated to mildly like chaotic, like they're just floating from thing to thing. But I kind of like that this section did talk about how like Pisces really can be a controlling sign. It can be a sign that lets its compulsions to help others really be like, what it really is a compulsion to control, and control like situations and the paths of people, but not in a way that's like, I don't want to say brutishly egoic, but it is egoic in that it leans into like martyrdom and a lack of boundaries. And then people are trying to figure like, well, why does it, why like won't they do better? And it's just like, well, bitch, like maybe because they don't want to do better, like maybe that's it. And so this section talks about that a lot, that Pisces needs to actually really let go of control, and that because the idea that's posed in this book is that they are the traditional like helpers in society, and they're the ones that have reached like in previous incarnations or maybe even in this life like the highest level of I guess skill set to help people. So like they're a surgeon, they're a psychologist, psychiatrist, right? Like NP, whatever, like they're in a certain capacity and they rise through the ranks, and so they do have this sort of like eagle's eye vision of things and how it should be done and how humanity can be helped, but that they get in their own way because they fail to realize that people have their own paths and boundaries and they shouldn't cross them. And when you are like an expert helper, you want to help people, but you also have this idea of how it should go. And the people that they encounter, a lot of the resistance or tug and pull in those relationships and why they're so difficult is because the Pisces, seeing this overall vision of the universe and how things go, can't let go of the vision, the idealized version of someone, the idealized version of circumstances, and as a result they start to place that on people who may or may not change. And so the book kind of explains that, like, when they actually just give that shit up, when they actually just be like, fuck it, like, you don't have to help people like all the time, like as a compulsion to change people, which is really what that is. It's a compulsion to change other people. When they give that up, they can sit more into their compassion. Like, if people ask you for help, you can help. Like, you still have compassion towards them and you can still help them, but you're not, there's no real, you know, like, compulsive need to like help people, which is really like directing them, which is really like having control over them in some sort of way. So I really kind of like that, because I kind of feel like sometimes with water signs, mine is Scorpio, but generally with water signs, there's this like, I don't know why like people think water signs, like the dark side of water signs can't be dark, or like they tend to overly fixate on them in like romance or something like that. But I really enjoy that Pisces as a North Node sign was explored in the more darker kind of shadow elements. Also, just needing to see people as they were was like a big thing. The illusions and the idea of what people could be, like, especially it did mention things like scenarios where like you're with somebody and they're like a chronic smoker or they are an alcoholic or something like that, and like you try to force them to be a non-smoker, a sober person, and how like a lot of the strife that you feel as that North Node Pisces person, and it says North Node to alcoholic, but we're doing like North Node Pisces person is like, why won't they change? I don't understand. I'm trying to help. And it's like, just give that shit up. And so, yeah, learning how to communicate was also one that came up. And I can see where that comes from, because it's just like, okay, yeah, I guess people would just think that it's understood like how you feel about things, so also actually verbalizing it and then kind of stepping back, right? Because you said your piece, so when you say your piece, then back off, you know, like you don't need to keep pushing. And I think that's where Pisces energy gets in trouble. Like, they keep trying to push to help other people, and it's just like, well, no, like, just say your piece and fall back. And the people who like really do need to change, like, it'll open the space up for them to kind of feel safe enough to do it. Because sometimes like with this energy, it did come off in the book like the people, like, they were resistant to Pisces helping them because they felt judged, like very critically judged by Pisces. And like that, I guess maybe that like childlike stubbornness really leads people to be very resentful towards North Node Pisces kind of people, because it kind of feels like, I guess the relationship is like they're up here and you're down here, and then it's just like, well, you're not so perfect. And then like on the North Node Pisces side, it's like when things go wrong for you, then it's kind of like, it kind of feels like they're just very down in the dumps, because they have very high ideals and high hopes, and like the bar is up here, and then like they're around people who like maybe here but probably maybe like around here, and they're trying to help them to bring up here, and then those people are resentful. And then when this person, North Node Pisces, is finally down here, people kind of like, oh, that's what you get. And so they kind of have to learn how to balance what's going on. Sorry, it was like a car outside. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Other things, fear of being seen fully is something that Pisces needs to work on. And that's why I feel like they kind of move from thing to thing, and that's kind of what the book mentions. Like, fear of being seen as human, living a human experience, is something that it seems like North Node Pisces people can't deal with, because they're used to helping other people, and so to have situations in their life where they need to be helped, and then perhaps like in a very big way, very serious way, can be very, I guess, hard for them to deal with, because they also have an idealized version of what they're supposed to be. And so it's not only the people around them that suffer, they suffer too, because they have these idealized versions of themselves that they think they have to live up to. And perhaps it's because they're traditionally seen as the healers and the ones who have like this ultimate spiritual mission, right? They can't handle perhaps when they have to deal with more mundane matters, and when more mundane matters kind of like take them over, so to speak. So they have the hard time dealing with like 3D issues. And I can see where Pisces shows up in your chart. You would have like a hard time dealing with the 3D issues associated with that. And so yeah, there's just a fear of being seen, and I would dare to say just being seen as human and perfect. And that was like a main thing. Being of service to oneself also was a theme that like came forth, because they spend their lives trying to help other people that they really should mind their business and help themselves. And I don't say that rudely, but like life just in general, like I'm a North Node Sag, but like in general, life gets better when you just mind your business and do your shit. Because like you'll be so wrapped up in your own stuff that like your illumination will inspire other people. And the overall, I guess, theme to take away from this, because I'm gonna wrap this up, is that Pisces needs to just be, and they don't need to do so much. They need to just be like themselves. They need to be hope, be enlightened, and they need to move within that space and not try so hard. And then it'll actually be more anchoring to them to just do that than to actively always work towards it. You know what I'm saying? Like actively trying to help people, actively trying to meditate, actively trying to like just do these things, just be these things, and you'll be fine. Like, you know, but it goes back to the control issue of needing to have a certain outcome and be performed in a certain way, because there's a certain perception that you must live up to in your head that other people have of you, which oftentimes they don't. And then idealized version of yourself of how you're supposed to act too, and all of these things kind of show up in conflict. So yeah, so that was North Node and Pisces. Child, it's been a minute. I am gonna start working on North Node Aries next. I did try to do it by like zodiac season, but like that clearly didn't happen. So next up will be North Node and Aries, and then we'll just go from there. So thank you for watching. I'll talk to you guys later. Take care. Bye.